Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video leading up to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 8. In this one, first, we're going to give our thoughts on the first opening scene from the sneak peek for the second half of the season, and whether or not we may be seeing Carl's grave. So I wanted to wait a little while before we went ahead and did a video on this one, just in case anyone hadn't seen, the mid-season finale for The Walking Dead. At this point, I mean, pretty much everybody's seen it. Everybody knows what happens in the mid-season finale. And going into the back half, where we're going to start, probably right where we left off, most likely, with after just finding out that Carl was bitten. We are to assume, I suppose, that he probably has about one episode left, probably one last episode for Chandler Riggs. And then most likely by the end of episode 9 or sometime during episode 10, they probably will have to bury Carl. It was kind of confirmed on Talking Dead by Scott Gimple that it is a zombie bite, and it will play out as they usually do. So this one's really sad, right? I mean, this half, this is one of the reasons. Like, I'm excited for this half, but definitely it looks like it's probably going to be starting with a downer. So you guys can check out this sneak peek if you haven't seen it yet. It's kind of the promo for the second half of the season. Link will be in the description to AMC's official YouTube channel, where they have it kind of as the preview video to the back half. So in terms of look, though, it's pretty cool, right? I like the sticks and kind of the way it's set there to market, which is really cool. Kind of his zombie apocalypse tombstone type of deal. It looks like it's in Alexandria from the looks of things. Alexandria was, of course, just bombed, so it's in pretty bad shape right now. But based on the buildings and that, it looks to me like most likely it is. Of course, the Hilltop, aside from the Barrington house, doesn't really have much in the way of buildings and that. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, that's what it's looking like to me. And wow, so sad, man. If you look at the expression on, Andrew Lincoln, Rick, and Michonne here, they just, looking pretty depressed, as I'm sure many of us will be when we actually see the episode. Might be quite the tearjerker. But like some questions with this, like what are they going to do? Where's the hat? Where's the infamous Sheriff Rick hat that he gave to Carl, and Carl kind of wore or adopted for his own so many seasons. I am thinking they probably did bury it with him, because it was just something that he really did take on onto his own, and it was really something that is really a staple of the character at this point. So super sad, man. Super sad way to start off the season, if that is in fact what we're seeing. But yeah, I mean, it sure looks like it is. And overall, I mean, it's just a really cool little preview video. So check it out, and it's really all we have right now for the back half of the season. We still have 7 weeks. February 25th. It's a late date to come back for The Walking Dead due to their production delays and stuff they had this year. But the preview is just really cool. Definitely check it out if you guys haven't seen it. I'm sure most of you probably have seen it at this point. But Negan does ask Rick, he just say, "You set this course, who's next?" And then Rick says, "You are." So that's pretty sick. So Negan must have found out what happened with Carl, that Carl's dead, and because Negan, it's interesting what they're doing with this season, because it's like, Negan did like Carl, at least from the way I interpreted he did, and even though clearly the Saviors are not good guys, nobody, I like in The Walking Dead, nobody's 100% evil, nobody's 100% good. They even try to do what they could with Terminus and with the Hunters, right, and try to humanize them about as much as they could. But I mean, I'd say it probably didn't really work that well. So we'll get into some questions for the Q&A for today, and of course, you guys can keep sending me any questions you have, or any video suggestions, because again, it is 7 weeks until the premiere, so lots of time to do death predictions and whatever else you guys want to do. So just have some fun. BWolf20 says, Q&A: why didn't Simon take Maggie when he met her and the others on the road? Weren't the Saviors ordered to capture the widow? If so, why not take her and send the rest back to the Hilltop? I wondered if I missed something there. And no, I don't think you did there, BWolf20. I agree with you, and that is something that a lot of people didn't like in terms of the writing for that, the ending of this first half, is that it seemed to kind of like not make that much sense that he would just kind of like punish them by killing one of them and tell them to go back. But then again, you can kind of look at Simon. Sometimes Simon has been too strict before. We get the idea from Negan that maybe when he talks about the backsliding, right? Are we backsliding, Simon? Maybe Simon was responsible for what happened with the Oceanside and all of their men being killed. So maybe now he's being a little bit too soft, on her and kind of letting her go back. But, he kind of does his own thing anyway. He's kind of a savior where, like, he's, like if you look at the relationship he had with Gregory, he let Gregory get away with a little bit of stuff, and he's kind of like buddy with him and this kind of thing. So, Simon's a little bit different from some of the others, and maybe that's what he he just doesn't care. It's just, okay, I don't want to do all this, so just just go back, whatever. This war will be over soon, whatever. It is, one of those type of guys that's kind of like carefree, whatever, that kind of thing. So even Gavin seems to be a little bit more taking this a little bit more seriously. But then again, it is Stephen Oak's character, so you can kind of think of it as like maybe that's kind of how he is. He's just kind of this carefree kind of. He's kind of jolly, to be honest, for a savior, right? I mean, a lot of the saviors are kind of a bit vicious, a bit aggressive. He's not too bad. I don't think he's the worst of the saviors. Even maybe Morales was a little bit more intense than he was. And speaking of which, Daniel says, Trev, I truly believe the petition to bring Morales back worked. What about a petition to bring the gore and brutality back? So he wants to do a petition like that. So we did do a petition after season 7 ended there to bring Morales back, and I don't know if it worked or if they just had already decided that they were going to bring him back anyway because people kept talking about him and they wouldn't kind of let it go. So either way, whichever it was, doesn't really matter. With regards to the brutality and kind of them throttling back a little bit with the gore, the brutality in the show, that one's a little bit more tricky because with that one, you have licensing and different things like this, networks involved, and so it's not just as simple as like you want to bring a character back and you just bring him back in the show and you do a storyline with him and you kill him off right away and you use that to change Rick and change some of the others. With regards to their kind of choice to kind of draw back on the brutality a little bit after the season 7 premiere, if you guys haven't heard about this, they basically decided after that they were going to be a little bit more careful with the gore and the brutality in The Walking Dead because it is such a mainstream show now, and they didn't want to upset, a certain, commissions and that kind of thing that are, that check media and this kind of thing to see if it's, just over the top, like see if it's too much based on the, on it airing and everything and whether or not they're allowed to. So they do kind of have to be at least a little bit careful once you get involved in that kind of stuff. It was being like investigated. The season 7 premiere was like investigated. I think it was in the UK mainly, but it is a worldwide show. A lot of times we forget that it's not just a show in the US, but there are people all over the world that watch The Walking Dead. Some of you guys are from Switzerland and Germany and who knows, Japan, even a couple, everywhere. Mexico, all over the place, Brazil, what have you. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's not so easy, even if we were to do something like that and do like a petition and got a lot of people to sign, it's not, that's not really, it might not work anyway. So I wouldn't really do it for something like that because, there's just too many factors involved and too many people involved and commissions, all this different stuff that can, have an effect on it. So I wouldn't do one for something like that because it's not something that would be easily handled by just the producers. That's a big thing and a big issue, and its scope is too large and out of control for us to make a request. They probably couldn't even do it anyway, even if they wanted, even if a lot of people requested it. If one of the bigwigs or something or another network or something, there's just too many things involved for that. MC9000 says, when will Fear's Season 4 trailer be released? So the Season 4 trailer featuring Morgan, of course, from The Walking Dead, crossing into Fear the Walking Dead. Very exciting. I would think it's probably going to be released after this season ends of The Walking Dead. So usually after this season ends, you probably have within about... hopefully right after we'll get a trailer. Once The Walking Dead ends, we'll get a trailer for Fear. I think that's probably what AMC should shoot for with regards to promoting Fear, is after all of the viewers are finished watching The Walking Dead, pound them with commercials for Fear to let them know that Morgan's going to cross over into Fear, and the premiere date, come back at such and such a date to what you got to do this stuff. You know, this is simple stuff, right? So they got to have something, even if it's a teaser and then you do a full-length trailer afterwards. I'll be looking for that after this season ends. Plus, it's a late start at the end of February, so that'll go, you know, into 8 episodes through. And yeah, they should be good to kind of have that around the end of The Walking Dead season 8 wrapping up. So that's when I'm looking for it, but it could be even a month after that or something like that. We'll have to see when they're able to get it done and get it released for us. But I'm very excited for Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. It should be great, man. Really cool. Catlover 1981 says, Q&A, Trev, is there any possibility Carl may have been bitten by a whisperer? So this one again, since bite is off screen, was wondering if that was possible. Would be a crazy way to introduce the whisperers, plus make us all think he's dead when he isn't. Thoughts on this? So maybe you could think that if there wasn't all the stuff around the show, so Chandler Riggs cutting his hair, you know, getting involved in other projects, doing other things, moving on, his parents even kind of, his dad on Facebook kind of, you know, commenting on it and all this different stuff. Scott Gimple kind of confirming it on Talking Dead. And I get where you're coming from. It's just such an unbelievable death, and it's so crazy to think that they're actually doing this, that you might sit there and think to yourself, like, it's got to be a trick or something. It's got to be a dumpster or something like that. And we'll see him back. But no, it sounds to me like, based on everything around the show, that no, he's dead. Urban Property Management says, here's my question. Do you think The Walking Dead will follow up with the Kingdom feeding walkers to pigs and giving them to the Saviors? This would have been a great advantage for Rick and the crew, or will AMC let it fall by the wayside? So. I think they're going to let it fall by the wayside. I mean, we saw it in Season 7, but at this point now, it's so much later, I just can't even see them, really using that as a storyline at all. It's too late at this point. Torrid says, I'm a big fan of the show and share your enthusiasm for it. However, I'd like to know if the show jumps the shark or gets totally ridiculous. Would you continue to watch anyway? Please don't think of this as a negative item toward the show. I'm just curious. I don't know what I would do. I guess it depends on how bad the episodes would be. Well, personally for Torrid, I don't think the show will ever get that bad that it's going to be like, for everybody to just quit watching. Yes, there has been, a downturn in the show's popularity and that kind of thing this year, for sure. There's no denying that. But at the same time, I don't think they'll do anything too crazy. I don't think you'll have a cure. Would I consider it if they got into that cure territory where they started doing a cure or such and such people are immune or things like this? Then I might get into that territory where I'm like, what? That's just too much, man. I just can't take that, right? It's just too much. But personally, I mean, no, I'm still enjoying the hell out of it. The first half of Season 8 I thought was great. And really, for me, what affects it the most is the comments I see from other people. It's not even really me. Like, I watch it, I'm enjoying it, almost as much as ever. And then I see the comments afterwards, and all these people are, upset about it. So I'm like, it's kind of like, it definitely is kind of a bit of a downer when you're enjoying something everyone else is telling you it sucks, or you see all these comments from thousands of people and they're like, this sucks and that sucks and whatever sucks. It's like, okay, well, you do have a point, but I personally am just enjoying it, same as usual, and I don't think it's jumped the shark or done anything totally ridiculous that it shouldn't do. They're aspiring to do pretty big things with the series, with All Out War, and I feel like they're landing on most of what they're trying to do, so it's what it is. I360 Spartan says, Q&A, if you have kids down the future making pancakes, will you ever put your kids onto the Walking Dead TV series? So that's kind of funny. So, I would have to, right? For me, it's such a big part of my life doing this with the channel with you guys. And I think a lot of you guys would too. If it's your favorite series ever, and your kids get into their teenage years or whatever, then you might want to, pass them your set and they might want to check it out, because it's that good. It really is that good. So, I would have to say absolutely I would. Definitely. There's no question about it. I think The Walking Dead is going to be a timeless series. I think that a lot of people are complaining right now, but if The Walking Dead does eventually end, people will miss it a lot. People will be like Game of Thrones this year. No Game of Thrones in 2018. People are going to be missing it for sure. It's just what it is. Fredo James will be the last one who says, you really think Andrew Lincoln will stay around until season 15, don't you? So there's just no way to know for Fredo. You know, I don't think so, not that far. But if we can get, like I said, season 12 or 13, I would be more than happy with that if they were able to do that. And then they decide at that point, okay, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. We're done. Okay, that's, you know, I would be totally happy with that, totally satisfied with that. But you never know. And again, you know, I'm sure he's getting paid very, very well to be Rick in the series. It's a lifetime role. You know, it's a role of a lifetime. You know, he's getting to play one of the biggest on-screen television characters ever. You know, the lead for The Walking Dead. I mean, one of the biggest series ever. So, and he's a leader on the show too. You know, he's a leader in terms of the character, but he's also a leader in terms of keeping that show going, I think, too. So, when you're a leader like that, it's not the same as if you just like work at a, you know, you're just working a regular job and whatever. And if you go, the show will go on easily without you. The show would not easily go on without Rick. You know, I've done lots of videos on this. I've seen people's comments about it. I think it could go on, but it would be a huge struggle to see the series go on without Andrew Lincoln, without Rick. So he is definitely, you know, a linchpin for the series, and you know, we're going to see how it goes without Carl. But if you were to kill Rick off, I mean, and then you don't have Carl too, that would be just insane. So I'm really hoping that the contract negotiations go well with him. We see him be Rick for at least another few years after this. And that'll be it for today's video, guys. I hope you liked it. Let me know what your thoughts are on the grave scene, whether or not you do think it is Carl, or unless, I don't know, somebody else, but you know, I would think it would be Carl. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it, and you can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. I'll see you soon. Just subscribe somehow.